religious ceremonies of any other religion, of any other system. We're only allowed to practice the ceremonies of Islam because these are based on revelation. The other ceremonies that people do, these have no basis in revelation. They're man-made and, of course, not guided. And so as Muslims, we do not involve ourselves in it because our involvement in it is our support of it. You know, if we look at the burial ceremony in Islam, the process, the body person dies, how they're wrapped, how they're, buried in the earth, the prayer that is made, all these different things. These are things which have been going on for the last 1400 years based on the instructions of Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him. It's based on revelation. But if we go, for example, into the Christian community, in one place they bury people this way, another one they bury people that way, the other way, and you ask, where did these traditions come from? You cannot take them back to Prophet Jesus. Jesus did not instruct people to do this. He did not bury, the people were not buried in that way. He himself was not buried in the way that they're doing. He was buried in a way similar to the burial of Muslims. Because this was a tradition, not just invented by Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, but part of the tradition of the prophets in their burials. So, as Muslims, we're not permitted to attend the funeral ceremonies of non-Muslims, even if it be our own parents. Of course, this puts us in a dilemma, some of us. We've accepted Islam. Your father dies. The rest of the family are expecting you to be there. What do you do? To be in the church when the ceremony is, being done, or in the temple, or whatever, or to be, attending the actual process of the burial in which prayers are recited and people are, taking part in these prayers. What do? You've converted to Islam. You don't want to offend your family. Then my suggestion to you, dear viewers, is to feign sickness, feign ill health, or, some kind of, you're not feeling well. Tell them. I'm not saying this is like a white lie or anything. No. What you're doing, you're trying to avoid a bigger sin, something which is clearly a sin in the religion, which you're not in a position to explain to them. This is a circumstance, you just came into Islam, whatever, you've not got a chance to explain to them, this thing happens, for you not to take part and for them to know you're not allowed to take part, you don't want to take part. This is something like a major offense to your family, which may close the doors for you to be able to convey Islam to them. So rather than, of course, if you want to explain to them, but rather than explain that these circumstances which are not suitable, then you tell them, I'm not feeling well. You feign illness to avoid a greater harm to your effort to carry Islam to them. So, this is my advice to you. Of course, you can't keep doing this. Your father dies, and your mother, and your brother, and your sister, and each time you're getting sick, people are going to catch on. So therefore, you may do it the first time because you had no opportunity to explain to them, but you should try after that to get them to understand, as time passes, that, without meaning any offense to them, etc., you're really not permitted, according to your faith, to attend these other ceremonies. And explain to them why. You ask them, well, what you're doing, embalming the bodies, keeping it on show for, days, people coming from all over the place to see these bodies, and, putting it in caskets and spending so much money, to put it in these caskets, and the whole process of burial, it sends people bankrupt. The person who couldn't even afford a car, in their lifetime, the casket, etc., the family goes into a state of debt just to put them in the ground. No, Islam is not about this kind of extravagance and wastage, etc., and its principles of religious rights are based on revelation. We try to explain that to them as gently as possible. A further question from Sister Shamima Jafar. She's written in again from Dubai, the Roads Department. Dear brother, Assalamu alaikum. Please be good enough to answer the following questions in the program towards understanding Islam. Well, we're in the program in the light of Islam, and this is really the one in which we answer such questions. Can a son-in-law be a mahram to his mother-in-law, and can he take her for Hajj? The son-in-law is a mahram for his mother-in-law, because he can never marry this woman. He can never marry the woman who is the mother of his wife. He can never marry her. So that status, that puts him in the status of mahram, meaning a male relative, and this is a relative by marriage, who is mature, past the age of puberty, who can accompany her for journey, etc., etc. And of course, the journey asked about here is Hajj. Yes, he may accompany her for Hajj. There are non-Muslims, second question, who say that we are cruel for slaughtering animals, especially during Hajj. They say in their religion it is a sin. How could we explain this to them? Well, slaughtering animals is cruel. In Islam, we have clear instructions to minimize the hurt that the animal may feel. We're instructed to make our blades, the blade which is used to cut the throat of the animal, extremely sharp, so that the animal doesn't realize the cutting. Like sometimes you may be cut by a razor blade or a knife. It's so sharp you didn't even feel the cut. This is how the knife should be. Not take some dull knife or saw and cut. No, this is forbidden in Islam. The knife used should be extremely sharp. Secondly, we should not slaughter this animal in front of other animals that are being slaughtered, so the animal realizes it's going to be killed, etc., etc. No, we turn it away from that so it doesn't see. And, of course, when we slaughter the animal, we do it in the name of Allah. And we inform the animal, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater. It is Allah who has submitted this animal to us, has given us the power over this animal. We, from ourselves, could not have done this without Allah giving us the power. So He has given us the power over the animal and made that animal for us. Allah made us meat eaters. We're not. Our systems are created by God to be able to consume both meat and vegetable matter. Obviously, God created us with that ability to consume meat because we are supposed to eat meat. It is there for us. This is something from God. We are on the higher level of the food chain, and we're able to eat from both the vegetation as well as from the animals. And there are some animals that eat other animals. Fish eat other fish. Lions and tigers, etc., eat other animals. So, to argue, well, this is cruel, no. This is not cruel. It may be cruel in your religion because you believe that human beings, when they die, they may come back as animals. So naturally, if you have this kind of a false belief, then it may appear, yes, because you might be slaughtering your uncle or your father or your grandfather or whoever. So there you are killing. So naturally, it appears then to be cruel. But this is nonsense. This is falsehood. There is no reincarnation. There's no coming back to this life after you die. We live on this earth for the period that we live, and that's it. After our death, there is resurrection and judgment. So when you're clear on that, then the issue of slaughtering animals is no problem. But when you have the false belief, because this is what is behind it, dear viewers, this is what you have to realize, this is what is behind that, because they believe that you might be killing your relative or your friend when you're slaughtering an animal. So naturally, they put it in this category of cruelty. However, as I stated, God created us with an ability to eat meat. And He states very clearly in the scripture that He has submitted these animals to us. This is by His will. Some animals are not submitted to us. We can't hardly catch them and eat them, etc. But some of them, they're domesticated. He has submitted for us to eat. And this is by the will of God, who created all of the world and what is in it. With that, dear viewers, I'd like to thank you for being with us in this segment of In the Light of Islam. I hope that you will continue to follow the future segments and that you are benefiting from the information that I'm conveying to you. Trying my best to clarify the principles behind, not just giving you a yes or no answer. I mean, of course, in many of these questions, I could just say yes, no. You can, you cannot. Haram, forbidden. Halal, permissible. However, I'm trying my best to give you the background, to understand the principles behind it, the light of Islam on the subject. And I hope to see you in the future segments, dear viewers. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.